What's going on, everybody? My name is CD, and today we're going to be talking about my favorite loadouts for Warzone. So this is still very early in the meta for Warzone, but this is still Call of Duty. So with my experience of playing a ton of Call of Duty, I can probably bring you guys some pretty decent loadouts. So what I've gathered so far in Warzone is that obviously there is a ton of fast-paced action all the time in Warzone, which is great, but also it is still a BR. You do still have those long range engagements. So that's where these classes are going to come in handy. So the first one here, as you can see, I have the MP5, so submachine gun close range, as well as the HDR secondary. So here are the attachments that I have for the MP5. I know you guys cannot see right here in the corner. I have the F-Tac collapsible stock, as you guys can see here, as well as the monolithic suppressor, Merc foregrip, 10mm auto 30-round mags, and the rubberized grip tape. Now these are not by any means the exact attachments you have to use. This is personal preference and taken from the meta MP5 class setup that is in competitive Call of Duty right now. So if there's anything that you feel more comfortable with using, let's say a sight or something along those lines, I would say use that for sure, as this is personal preference. For the secondary here, we have the HDR. Now this is really going to be your primary weapon. You're going to be using this for mainly the long range and medium range engagements, and then if you're looting a small close quarters area, that's when you're going to pull out that MP5. For the attachments on the HDR, we have the very first barrel, which helps with your recoil control, bullet velocity, and damage range. I have the optic as the variable zoom. That's just what I enjoy. I know a lot of people have been absolutely loving the thermal sights, and it makes sense because you're looking so far. It's such a huge map. It makes sense that a thermal is good, but watch out for people running cold-blooded. And then in the corner here, you guys can't see, but I have the F-Tac Stalker Scout for that ADS speed improvement. For the perk, Focus always comes in handy. It gives you a little bit less flinch when you're getting shot at, which happens quite a bit. And as I said, you're going to be using this HDR most of the time. And then just because I didn't really know what else to put on, I threw on the bipod here just to help with crouch and prone recoil control. Now that underbarrel bipod is definitely the least used or the least necessary attachment. So if you do want the laser on here, by all means go for it. Or if you do want some sort of muzzle, I would say swap it out for that bipod as well. And before I forget, the reason I have the HDR on here is because I was using the AX50 because that's the sniper that I enjoyed the most and the one that I thought would make the most sense. But I was getting an absolute ton of hit markers, and what I've heard, now this may not be true, is that the HDR is actually a little bit stronger, a little bit more damage, and it can get you a one-shot headshot even if they have full armor. Now I don't know if that's 100% true, but with just a little bit of testing of using the AX50, I felt like I was getting headshots and I was not getting that one-shot kill, which with a sniper is very annoying. Now that may just be placebo effect, or that may just be not enough sample data. So if you really hate the HDR, I guess you can go with the AX50 until all of that is kind of confirmed. Now for the perks here, I'm running cold-blooded, obviously overkill, and then amped. Now some honorable mentions here on the perks is definitely double time. I mean, you're running so much in this huge map. Double time does make sense. EOD for nades, that's what I have been running most of the time, but I'm now thinking of switching it up to cold-blooded, which I think will be better for all the people running thermals. For the secondary, I think overkill by and none is the best second perk and probably the best perk here. If you're not going to run it, I would say run Ghost because of the UAVs. And then finally, third perk here, I liked Amp just because of the quick flip from your MP5 to your sniper. But other things like Tune-Up don't seem too bad. Battle Harden doesn't seem too bad. And I feel like Spotter and Tracker seem a little OP if there's some people camping, but I have not tested them out. That's for us to see kind of in the future as the game plays out. For a lethal and tactical, I have a nade and a stun. I'm not really sure what else to do here. If you guys are big campers, go for the proximity mine or the claymore, I guess. And for a tactical, I mean, I guess maybe I could run a heartbeat sensor or something. I don't use these as much as maybe I should. Let's just say that. And then for my second class, it's basically the same thing, except instead of the MP5, I'm using the M4. So I am personally more of an AR player, so this is what I've been running with the majority of the time, and it's worked out pretty well. But I want to kind of go back and forth between the MP5 and the M4 because these are definitely the most powerful guns in the multiplayer. So it makes sense that they would also be up there for Warzone. Now, like I said, there's going to be a meta that kind of shows itself here soon, and I really think these three weapons, the MP5, the M4, and the HDR, are going to be a part of that meta somehow. I've been messing around with the attachments a little bit here, so they're a little bit different than my preferred multiplayer setup, but I have the stock M16 Grenadier barrel, the GI Mini Reflex, stippled grip tape, and then here I threw on the 60 round mag instead of some sort of muzzle like a compensator or even some sort of stock. And then finally I have the commando foregrip. Now this is just a good consistent M4 setup. The only thing you do lose to is those very close engagements where I feel like the MP5 could really come in handy. So with that being said, really using your sniper, your secondary as much as possible, and then really flipping to that secondary, I guess if you want to call it, that MP5 as soon as possible. That's my idea right now, and that's really what I've been playing with. So if you guys have any other class setup that you guys have been playing with that you guys think are meta breaking, let me know in the comments down below. Click the like button if you guys have enjoyed the video. Some of you guys have not already for more Modern Warfare and Warzone content specifically coming out here real soon. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you guys later.